बहुत सारी चीजें लाइफ में सही हो सकती है, लेकिन कम चीजें जरूरी होती है, राइट? एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इंश्योरेंस जरूरी है।
1000 लोग अपने मोबाइल को प्रोटेक्शन जरूर लगाएंगे, लेकिन अपने लाइफ को प्रोटेक्शन लगाना भूल जाते हैं, इंश्योरेंस नहीं लेते हैं। Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here, and I welcome you all to a very, very interesting podcast. We are going to have a great discussion, and I have with me Mr. Mahesh, who is the MD of Kotak Life. I also have with me Mr. Piyush, who is the joint president of Kotak Life, and I also have Mr. Ranjit, who is the head products at Kotak Life. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for sparing your valuable time and coming on this show.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Pleasure. Cool. So I'll just kickstart with my experience while I was driving from Pune to Mumbai. While I was coming, by the way, it's a lovely weather outside. It's very nice weather inside as well. But talking about the weather outside, it was raining very nicely when we drove here. And the first thing, that came to my mind was good monsoon is equal to good thing for stock markets. I had a friend with me who writes poetry, and he said that मुझे तो अभी बस ऐसे शायरी वगैरह दिमाग में आ रही है. One friend who is a doctor who was accompanying me in this journey, he said that यार रचना, it's more monsoon is equal to more diseases is equal to more patients. मैंने कहा तुम बस तुम्हारे top line के बारे में सोचो. But then if 3 people from 3 different professions can look at a same thing but from different perspectives, how do you look at monsoons?
Well, monsoon, I think, is one of the most important events in India's annual calendar, right? Because monsoon decides a lot of things in this country. Pehli hai ki monsoon is very important for all of us because as a country with large population, we have to feed our population. So agricultural economy depends a lot on good monsoons, and that's why monsoon is looked out for in terms of agricultural farm produce, rural income, and then consumption, etc. goes up if the monsoon is very good. So that helps the stock markets, that helps the economy grow. And insurance has a leg in savings and investments. So therefore, if the stock market does well, it's something very good for all our consumers as well. Again, the monsoon can have another dimension. Too much of water, too much of monsoon, I think too much of rains, flooding, etc. A lot of things, assets are put under risk.
Yeah.
Your physical assets in terms of your house, your cars, they can get marooned. Your houses can get marooned. Storm can pull off the roof of your house. People may die. Those are the other things which the monsoon brings. And therefore, insurance plays a very important role there as well, because our job is to protect things at the same time also benefit from the growth.
Yeah.
So on one side is growth because of stock market, another side is protection because most important thing is to preserve what you have. And that's why insurance plays a very important role on both sides of the monsoon.
Yeah.
So monsoon अच्छा हो या बुरा हो, monsoon नहीं आया तो it leads to different kind of problems. ये सब में एक चीज important है, insurance जरूरी है.
Absolutely.
Right?
But right now you said insurance zaruri hai. So you are not looking at insurance as an optional thing. You are saying it's a mandatory, it's a must have.
Absolutely. बहुत सारी चीजें लाइफ में सही हो सकती है, लेकिन कम चीजें जरूरी होती है, राइट? एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इंश्योरेंस जरूरी है, इसमें कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है, बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली व्हाट इज इंश्योरेंस? इंश्योरेंस क्या करती है आपको? आई थिंक वी ऑल टॉक अबाउट ग्रोथ, वी ऑल टॉक अबाउट इंप्रूवमेंट इन आवर लाइव्स एक्सेट्रा, बट फॉर अ मोमेंट growth starts where? When you preserve something, right? Without preservation can there be growth? Without sustenance can there be growth? Right? Jaan hai to jahan hai, right? If there is no preservation, growth is meaningless. Absolutely. If I tell you put in the capital market and lose your capital, will you be happy?
Absolutely
right.
not.
Whatever you do, preservation comes first.
True.
And insurance is that aspect of your life which makes sure it preserves what you have. It protects what you have.
Absolutely.
Once you're protected what you have, you can look at upside, right? And therefore protection is जरूरी है.
Yeah.
जैसे आप सांस लेते हो, जैसे आप खाना खाते हो, रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान, इंटरनेट, वाईफाई, इंश्योरेंस, right? उसी दौरान आना चाहिए because it's such an important thing. And if you can't preserve and sustain, what are we talking about growth?
True.
It's meaningless, right?
You were talking about protection, and what I could, while you were talking, I was just thinking through. इंडिया में मोबाइल को प्रोटेक्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी समझते लोग. 1000 लोग अपने मोबाइल को प्रोटेक्शन ज़रूर लगाएंगे, लेकिन अपने लाइफ को प्रोटेक्शन लगाना भूल जाते हैं, इंश्योरेंस नहीं लेते हैं. तो इंडिया में अभी जितना पेनिट्रेशन है, वी यूज 2 terms typically. One we use as insurance density, insurance penetration. Do you think we are up to the mark, or there is still a long way to go as far as
long way to go, Rachana. In fact, our penetration is only about 3% of GDP, and our protection cover stands at about 21% of GDP, which is sum assured.
Yeah.
So what does insurance do? It gives you a sum assured, or if you're taking a life cover, हम बोलते हैं कि रचना का life को हम 2 करोड़ तक cover करेंगे. That is sum assured, right?
Yeah.
Sum assured as a percentage of GDP is hardly 21% in this country. Even neighboring countries in Southeast Asia are at 125%, 153%. $16 trillion is the gap in protection in this country. Right? These are mind-blogging numbers. So therefore, India में protection की बहुत कमी है. I think we have a long way to go in terms of making sure that we are all adequately protected. Absolutely. Right? And therefore, insurance companies and insurance sector has to really work very hard to make sure that people are having adequate protection in this country.
So now that you say that yes, there is a long way to go, I think whenever anyone asks me, Rachana, what do you vouch for typically when it comes to life insurance, I always go ahead with term insurance because I feel that's like one of the must-have as far as life insurance is concerned. But you know, there are so many products which are already there in the market. So, and I want to ask you one question that whenever you thought that yes, we should come ahead with one more product which is related to term life, what were the certain feedbacks that you got from your customers? What were certain key takeaways from their feedbacks which made you design a specific term product for your company?
Yeah, so as a country, as a society, we always like to leave something for our next generation. Yeah. We buy a house, we say after me, or like we have an asset, gold or anything, we say after me, it will go to them. Like in insurance also, we thought this is a very great concept that I can have an insurance policy, I get covered, and once my cover ends, I can pass on cover to my child and leave a legacy for them of protection. So Kotak Gen2Gen Protect, the product which we launched today, it provides that facility. And this is the first time somebody in the industry has come with this kind of thought. So this is first in the industry where I get covered, and once I don't need cover because I have completed my earning life.
Absolutely.
So human life value which you talked about, it kind of has come down, not there. The cover passes to my child.
Absolutely.
So it's a legacy which I am leaving for my child.
Correct.
There are two aspects to this product. One is the premium that you pay.
Sure.
Because premium you pay normally is a percentage of the sum assured, right? So that is why people will take the protection plan, right?
Absolutely.
You pay a small premium. For instance, if you are taking a car insurance, it will be 2% of the value of the car, roughly, right? And if nothing happens, then the premium you don't get back, right?
Correct.
But India में थोड़ा हमारा psyche है ना, we are all very money conscious people, very value for money देखते हैं, right?
Correct.
I remember when I was in health insurance, many of my close friends used to complain, no, right? Saying 4 साल से मैं health insurance premium भर रहा हूँ, एक बार भी claim नहीं किया यार, पूरा नुकसान हो गया मेरा.
तो उनकी इच्छा ये है कि कुछ खराब हो जाए अपने में.
पता नहीं, वही बोल रहा हूँ, तुम्हारा इच्छा क्या है? तुमको कुछ hospitalization surgery करना चाहिए because you want to use your insurance policy. You are hale and hearty and healthy, you should be happy about it, right? So India में वो psyche है because we are still largely a country which is aspirational. So people want to see return on whatever they do, right?
Correct.
So therefore we are all value for money economy as a country, you know. So for those kind of people, we realize that look यार उनको लगता है कि अगर मैं जिंदा रहा, right, पूरा premium मेरा waste हो जाएगा, right? To those kind of customers is when what Piyush said in terms of a survey, and we looked at it. And there are other products also like this in the market. I can't say we're the only one on this product. We said it's time has come for us to also give an option to our customers where you can take your premium back in case you survive the policy period.
So let's say there's a person who has taken a life insurance till the age of 60. And if he doesn't die till 60, जितना उन्होंने प्रीमियम भरा है वो पूरा उनको वापस मिलेगा.
At the age of 60, if he survived the policy, then the policy was not used by him because he is alive, right?
Exactly.
So in that case, we tell them जो प्रीमियम आपने दिया वापस ले लो बस.
Perfect. So this is like a return of premium.
Return of
This is
premium,
what you
right?
mentioned.
So we take your money back.
Fantastic.
Sounds good, no?
Fantastic. I mean, like you said, it actually fits in the psyche of Indians.
So it takes care of those customers who have that little bit of resistance कि I'm spending money, मेरे को कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, पूरा पैसा ले लो.
यार मैं मरा नहीं 60 के पहले, वो वाले लोगों के लिए.
Yes.
All right. But you also mentioned something about legacy while you were speaking. What was that?
So one, I take cover for myself. I'm covered till the age of 60, and then I get the money back. So we added a feature here, like where I can decide to cover my child also.
Okay.
Once the cover ends for me. So let's say I'm covered till the age of 60. At the age of 60, I get all my money back.
Okay.
And the cover which I had taken shifts to my child.
Okay.
And my child will be covered till that point of time my child turns the age of 60. So in that way, we are covering 2 generations, and it is like kind of a legacy which I'm leaving for my child.
Got it. But what if an insured has 2 children? Let's say one.
They can buy 2 policy.
अच्छा रेल 2 पॉलिसी ज़्यादा प्रीमियम भरो, ज़्यादा पॉलिसीज ले लो, ज़्यादा लोगों को इंश्योर करो.
प्रीमियम से
ज़्यादा प्रोटेक्शन
लो.
प्रीमियम इज इंसिडेंटल टू प्रोटेक्शन, राइट? हमारा फोकस है कस्टमर को प्रोटेक्ट करना है, उसके लिए आपको प्रीमियम देना है. दैट्स अ इन्वेस्टमेंट.
Absolutely. But then is there something like elder will get covered or younger will get covered?
Any child whose age is up to 18, minor child can be covered.
Any child can. Just, I'm just thinking out loud. What if there is only one child and that child is also detected with some sort of critical illness, say cancer or something like that? उनको भी cover किया जाएगा ऐसे case
So at the point of when you're buying the policy, the child should be in good health.
में?
20 years, 25 years down the line, whatever happens, like, yeah, that's the risk we are taking.
Got it.
The way we are taking a risk on you, we sign something called declaration of good health. And in cases where we also do medical, etc.
Absolutely.
वो होने के बाद, if the person has signed that there's a declaration of good health, if something happens in the future, yeah, unless the person has misstated,
Correct.
obviously the policy will be paid.
Yeah, but I think here you mentioned again one more very important point, that unless it is misstated. So I think we should clarify this to our viewers, that what if someone doesn't declare everything in full honesty? Claim के time पे कुछ हो सकता है इसमें?
देखिए, insurance is a contract on good faith.
True.
The customer reposes faith that the company will be around to pay the claim, and the company reposes good faith that whatever information you have declared is true and correct.
Absolutely.
So it's a contract of utmost faith, good faith on both sides.
Got it. One last question to you. I was again thinking through. You said that whatever is the insurance cover that you have taken, that will be passed on to the child. But now I'm thinking that when the child would grow up, तब का उसका requirement and आपका requirement, inflation adjusted basically, that would be way different, right?
Correct.
So does the child have an option to top up the sum assured, or will you have to take a separate policy?
Generally, what happens is that when a child starts earning, once they complete their education, the parents tell them, buy a policy. And they start with the smallest of policy at that point of time.
Correct.
Instead of starting a policy at that point of time, we are saying that you buy a policy today, which would shift to them at that point of time. And then the child, based on their requirement, can buy whatever they need. So it is just to get them started. जैसे मैंने पहला पॉलिसी जो लिया था 1 लाख का लिया था.
Oh, your first ever policy was 1 lakh rupees.
1 lakh sum assured, yeah.
Oh,
1 lakh sum assured at that point of time. क्योंकि पापा ने बोला एक पॉलिसी ले ले, we knew somebody, the person ले लिया था. Never ever applied my mind. So that got me started on life insurance. The same way we are telling people that okay, you can get your child started with life insurance 10, 15, 20 years down the line by buying a policy today for yourself and then transferring the benefit to them.
got it. I also talked about a case where, I talked about a case if a child has something like a critical illness, something like a cancer maybe. Ideally, what sort of riders do you feel that a person must have in his or her insurance policy?
Yeah. So the basic insurance which everybody should have is, one is a large sum assured. You decide you want to buy a term plan, you want to buy any other product, you need to cover yourself to ensure that the preservation or sustenance which you talked about is taken care of. If I'm not there, there is enough money available to the family. That's one thing. Second is like if I'm there, but I contact one of the critical illness.
Correct.
And today, the way the medical costs are going up, the critical illness can be really expensive. So if you have taken a critical illness rider with the policy, that ensures that most of the cost, or maybe all of the cost which you suffer, that is taken care of. So while physically you'll have to go through a pain because of the illness, but financially it does not drain down your resources, it does not drain down the savings which you have built.
Correct.
So a good protection plan, whichever product you like, along with a good rider, critical illness rider, I think that's the bare minimum.
Any other rider which you would want to cover? I mean, I was just reading through the newspaper, I think just few weeks ago, and it mentioned the medical inflation to be around 14%. So if that be so, the medical costs are just going to shoot up day by day. So along with critical illness, do you feel there should be any other rider that one should take for himself?
Yeah, there are multiple riders that as a life insurance company we offer. So there are accidental death benefit riders. Then we have disability riders. So in case of the unfortunate event of an accidental death, so double death benefit is paid.
Okay.
So it actually helps to protect the family. So it is not only about death; it is also about doubling the benefit in case of accidental death, and that also at a fraction of a cost. So whether it is a critical illness rider or an accidental death benefit rider, the premium is insignificant in terms of the value proposition that it offers.
Sure.
It's very important to then holistically create your plan so that it takes care of all the eventualities. Why is a critical illness rider important? Because in a life insurance plan, right, it only gives you a sum assured when you die. What happens if you have a critical illness and you're living longer?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is a huge amount of financial setback because you're paid for the hospitalization bills. That's when the critical illness rider comes in, because a death benefit rider only kicks in when you die. Right.
Yeah.
What happens if you're alive and you have an illness? That's where it comes. So I think when you build a plan, right, you got to do it holistically, because it's about Purna Suraksha for the person in terms of getting the entire Suraksha Chakra for the person, right? So that's why these riders are important, because it covers all the other probabilities of having an accident. It may not be a critical illness, but you may have an accident, right? So therefore, how do we cover that? So this is basically drawing up a holistic plan which takes care of everything, which is what normal plans do. But this plan is little bit more special because in the zamane of 4G, 5G and all that, this is G to G, generation to generation. It covers 2 generations. So that's why we call this ek plan ki suraksha, 2 generation ki raksha.
क्या बात है. So one is about within how many years should you review, and one question could be about how much times should of your total income should your total sum assured be? Is there any?
I would say about 10 to 20 times, depending
10 to 20
on
times.
minimum 10. After that, depending on your affordability, depending on your income levels, yeah. But I would say definitely 10 to 20 times.
Absolutely.
Would be the range I would.
Got it. So like your plans, the ones that you mentioned right now, it was about legacy, it was about passing on something to the next generation. If you were to pass on some advice to the younger generation who is watching this podcast, what would your advice be? If I may ask each one of you on this, one advice that you would want to give to our viewers,
Ranjit can start.
based on your great experience in this insurance industry.
See, typically, when we talk about legacy, it is about, the physical assets. I'm, kind of, transferring my house, or, people, kind of transfer their gold or, jewelry, saris, so many things, people transfer to the next generation. And also, very important is the values. And Indian, we are very close-knitted family. Everything is centered around, our family or our children. So, for the next generation, the reality is that, a lot of millennials are not buying, term. Because, the way the current generation is, they are looking at, other avenues to invest, etc. So, we feel that, this is a gift, a value which is, kind of gifted to the next generation. And they, will realize the importance of it and, will start, investing more and more in insurance. Because, one is, being completely underinsured.
Yeah.
So, there is a lot of underinsurance which is there. So, at least, if by starting with something and then, they will top it up. As you rightly said about, inflation may not be, maybe too high to, kind of say that, that cover is sufficient at that point of time.
True.
But at least something is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
So, that's the reason.
Taking from what he said, like the younger generation generally feel that insurance is not for me. But I think I would like to say that insurance is in their day-to-day life. Like a small kid, when they are going to school, they need 2 pens for the day. They will take 3 pens. In case something happens to the first pen, I need to have 1 more pen. When they apply for a college, they have preferred college, but they also will apply for 2 more colleges. This is my backup. ये नहीं हुआ तो ये यूज कर लेंगे. So जो backup होता है, जो just in case होता है, that is insurance.
Yeah.
So you do insurance on your day-to-day life, and this insurance, what we promote, or like what we offer to our customers, that is to take care of whatever plans you have made for yourself, for your family, whatever dreams you have, they would all happen. But just in case, insurance is there.
True.
This is a backup for your dreams. This is a backup for your plans.
Amazing.
Well, I think we are a generation which is today looking at instant gratification. That's how today the world has become. Everybody is looking for experience. Everybody is looking for instant gratification.
The moment
in a
anyone
world of
puts-
instant gratification, I think it's worthwhile to step back and say what are the essential things in my life. As I said, बहुत सारी चीजें सही हो सकती है, लेकिन सही चीजें करने से पहले जरूरी चीजें करो.
So true.
ये जरूरी है, right? This is रोटी कपड़ा मकान इंश्योरेंस, right? So first जरूरी चीजें करो, जरूरत पूरी करने के बाद जाके सही चीजें करो.
Absolutely.
So that's the only thing. Your priority should be जरूरी चीजें पहले करो, right?
Correct.
So सही चीजें बाद में करो.
क्या बात है.
That's what.
Very well put. I think everyone has
जरूरत है insurance की जरूरत.
क्या बात है. Fantastic.
कलावती की रूपवती की वो जो गाना है,
Yeah.
I think इंश्योरेंस के लिए ही बनाया गाना है.
And just to add one more point, for younger generation, ये प्रोडक्ट ऐसा है कि आप जितना जल्दी खरीदोगे उतना सस्ता मिलेगा.
Perfect.
The more you delay it, your premium will keep going up.
So I think this is a very important point that your premiums get locked at a specific amount, right?
Yeah.
Even if you are, I mean, let's say a person in his 20s gets himself insured versus a person who gets himself insured at the age of, let us say, 40. बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क रहेगा,
बहुत
right?
ज़्यादा.
Premium में. So
It
it's
will
So they say ना, catch them young, watch them grow. यहाँ पे catch your premium young, otherwise the premium will grow.
क्या बात है. Fantastic. बढ़िया. I think this was one of the crispest interviews that I've done till date. Fantastic. Got great insights, and I'm sure You also have gained a lot of insights through this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any doubts about these policies, please don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section below. Me and my team, we would reach out to them as well and request them to solve your queries as well, so that you understand the difference between kya sahi hai and kya zaruri hai, and you take the necessary steps to ensure yourself as well. Me being a typical Indian parent, I also wish that I should pass on some really valuable thing to my child. Typically, we parents feel that we should pass on some nice legacy in the nature of passing on gold or some stocks or some other assets. But I personally believe that the biggest valuable asset that we possess is our human life. We typically cover our life with the help of a life insurance. But what if we can pass on this life insurance as a legacy to the next generation? Fantastic, isn't it? And for that, Kotak Life has come up with a Gen2Gen Protect, wherein we have an option which is called as a legacy option plan, wherein we can pass our life insurance cover to the next generation. I found it really interesting, and that was the reason why I checked out all the details of this product. If you want to know more about this, please check out the link in the description box below.